And good
afternoon.
One
It's
o'clock.
Early. 1 o'clock.
Look
1
at
o'clock.
Look at us.
Yeah, man. We're
Getting
on it.
Yeah.
No excuses. We're both here. You know?
Yeah, John's here.
The
snow's coming.
John has a new coffee. It's not the same coffee from last week, I'm assuming.
Is that a new one?
Is that a fresh one?
Oh, good.
Yep,
Yeah,
he has a
that's
fresh
great.
one.
That's
Again,
fantastic.
Just one.
Yeah.
One for him, but that's okay. I'm happy for him.
How's your kale drink
Kale
today?
drink? You're going to put my personal business in.
I was just wondering how that...
No, I've been drinking this kale drink. It's really 2 handfuls of kale, 1 apple, 1 orange, 1 tomato. I forgot that. Blackberries and strawberries. I'm telling you what, it's tolerable. And you're talking about antioxidants. I feel like I'm doing a commercial.
Antioxidants.
Antioxidants.
So it keeps you regular?
You know what? It keeps you clear-minded.
Yeah, okay. All right.
Anyway.
Well, you keep hitting the kale drink. We're gonna.
Anyway, yes.
We're gonna. So we're gonna hit the podcast today. Black and White Theology.
Christmas
podcast
time.
number 18. I think we're at.
Wow.
And John's been working with our audio video syncing. I think it's getting better.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about the syncing issue. Yes.
Yeah. So
all right, good.
Making improvements. But anyway,
good.
Awesome. We will take off the next 2 weeks after today for Christmas and New Year's, and
that'll give us time to search out some mugs and T-shirts and
absolutely
find the right distributor to go with.
Right, and get some merch.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
And we'll be selling that on our website.
That'd be awesome to come back in the new year with some merchandise.
You know, some black and white theology.
Absolutely,
merch.
Man. Yeah. We still gonna do 60-30, right?
Now, speaking of merch,
yeah.
I don't know if you noticed, I have
Studio 3.
Studio 330 right here.
Everybody knows what that is.
So, do you know what Studio 330 is?
Yes, I know what Studio. Come on, man. What are you talking about?
This
First of all, it's based off the Gospel of John 3:30.
Okay.
What does John? 3:30.
What does John say?
Absolutely,
John
he said that. Yes,
what,
he
what,
did.
What did he say?
God's word.
Yeah, yes, it is. It is God's word. Yeah.
God's truth.
Yeah, that is true.
And I agree with John when he said
John
that.
said he must
increase and I must decrease.
That's right.
John the Baptist we're talking about, who said that in Matthew's gospel actually, but John recorded it too. But
yeah.
So yeah.
It's also the name John Zwart, our youth director here at Faith Church, gave for the youth center that we just built.
Studio 330.
So our youth center here at Faith Church is Studio 330.
Right.
Based on John 330, he must increase, I must decrease.
Right. The he being.
Yeah. Well, Jesus, of course.
Okay, I'm just checking, checking your theology.
10 years of seminary, I got something.
You got that? Jesus.
Yeah.
Jesus is the answer, right.
Yeah.
So you know what? I was looking through my wardrobe, and I didn't see one of those. I don't think I got one of those.
Yeah, I didn't pay anything
John,
for this.
I don't think I got one of those, man.
I got this free.
Do we need to go back to our original podcast,
Studio
our first
330?
podcast we did? What's up, man? Brother not good for
So you want
T-shirt?
you want some Studio 330 merch? Huh?
I'm just saying.
I don't know.
Ask and you shall receive.
All right, John, may I have a Studio 330 sweatshirt, T-shirt, cap?
Oh, there are sweatshirts.
Ooh, sweatshirt
Might cost you.
Oh, see that?
That might
see
cost
that?
you.
See that? Wait, do you have a sweatshirt?
No, but my wife does.
Did she pay for it?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, we cool then.
I got a shirt. I got a shirt for you.
All right, cool. All right, John got one.
What size
for
are you?
All right, I'm a large.
Let's see what Santa can do for you.
All right, Santa coming down the chimney.
All right.
I'm gonna be looking for my Studio 330. Awesome.
So it is. It's Wednesday, December 16th. The reason we're podcasting today and not Thursday is because we have canceled Studio 330 Youth Group tonight because of all the massive amounts of snowfall coming.
Yeah.
And so John's going to be at home soaking it up in his hot tub.
With his latte.
Yeah, with his latte while the snow's falling.
Yeah, oh man, I'm getting visuals. Okay.
And,
Let's keep moving.
And so no youth group, no Studio 330 opened up tonight because it will be a snowstorm. So we're going to get this in before the snow comes.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then we risked our lives to do this podcast for you guys. I hope you realize that.
Man. Yeah, coming through the blizzard, but here we are.
Yeah.
Here we are. Man.
That's right.
I think about 2 flurries hit me right in the eye. But
wow.
I'm here.
You all right?
Yeah, I'm be all right.
Okay.
All right. Y'all got insurance, right?
Yes, we do. For now, anyway.
Get my reparations one way or another.
T-shirts.
T-shirts, reparations.
Yeah, insurance money. All right.
Money.
Well,
it's Christmas.
Good Good afternoon. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays.
Yeah, now you're going to get some emails for saying happy holidays.
Happy Kwanzaa.
Merry Christmas. Oh, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Threw one out there for me. Okay.
Yeah, I did.
All right. Where are we going today?
Christmas. We're going to keep talking about Christmas because I figured we're only a week out of Christmas almost.
I can't believe it, man. A week from Friday.
There's still some stuff we need to talk about in relation to Christmas.
To Christmas, yes.
Yeah. So, so right off the bat, Ron. Okay. So, part of what the meaning behind our name of our podcast, Black and White Theology, is these different backgrounds that we grew up in, right?
Yep.
So it's a podcast that addresses these issues from completely different backgrounds.
Absolutely.
But both a biblical perspective, right? Explain to me Christmas morning for you in the Jones home growing up.
Oh, man. Well, it's funny because it changed, right? So when we were younger, first of all, there were 8 of us. Okay? So 6 boys, 2 girls. So growing up, when we were younger, I remember coming downstairs and
describe your house. Was it like
row home,
Philadelphia, row home, inner city?
Yep, inner city, Philadelphia. Yep. We were in a row home, 3-bedroom row home. Mm-hmm. So mom and dad had a room. The sisters had 1 bedroom. And then all the boys were kind of in the other bedroom.
Like all 5
Yeah,
of you?
we have 2 sets of bunk beds and a bed in the middle.
Wait, there are 8 kids or 8 people?
8 altogether. Okay. 8 kids altogether.
Okay, 5.
So yeah,
4.
my older brother at this time was moved out or kind of coming back and forth. So as a I don't know, maybe middle school, I remember waking up, going downstairs and seeing literally like 7, 8 piles of gifts. 3-4 feet off the ground, right? I can still see that. Fast forward into probably 8th grade, 9th grade, going forward. Remember coming down and seeing nothing, like nothing. Christmas tree was still up, and then that kind of faded out where the tree stopped getting put up. So when we were younger, gifts galore. Middle school into high school, we would get up and there were no gifts. There was no money for gifts.
So what changed was income?
Income, just bills. Mom working on the weekends as a nurse. Dad working 2-3 jobs full time, trying to keep the lights on. Right. So as we got older, obviously, we're parents. The bills get bigger.
Yep.
And so then Christmas for us became about honestly mom making a Christmas meal. That became the highlight. Like gifts, getting actual gifts, that was off the table. We knew that wasn't going to happen. But it was about mom was going to buy things that we normally didn't have, like a real ham instead of canned ham. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
Like real mashed potatoes instead of the big box that said mashed potatoes, right? It became about the meal.
No government cheese.
No government cheese on Christmas. No, we got Velveeta on Christmas, baby.
Nice.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So I mean, and it became about the different food that the regular brand stuff that we were going to get. Because up to that point, it was a lot of government issued cheese and cereal and stuff like that. So that's what. And so the other highlight was this for us. We would leave the house at some point the next day after Christmas and go up to the suburbs, which for us, it was like Cheltenham Township. And we would wait till it got dark, and we would walk around, and we would fish in the trash because all the rich kids threw away all their old stuff. Yeah. So I got me a G.I. Joe with one arm, a big wheel with one wheel. I mean, and it was a big deal. We would go across to this big apartment complex. I can still see it, and just because they would throw all the stuff out back in the dumpsters, man, we got all kinds of stuff. And that became a highlight for us. And obviously, by the time we got out of high school, we stopped that. But so that's what I remember.
Growing up, your dad was not a Christian,
right?
Your mom was,
right?
Talk about that dynamic a little bit. How Christmas.
Yeah, well, I mean, Mom was always trying to bring it back to what it was about, right? God, His love, Jesus. Where Dad was, Dad was working so much. He was just working. Now, Dad did try to do this. He didn't bring a religious aspect into it, but Dad would find out in the community where different churches were doing like outreach events for people.
Okay.
And so I do remember for a couple years in a row, he found this one hot spot. And he would always collect us on Saturday and say, I forget where it was. I don't know if it was the Episcopal church in the community. He said, come on, we're going to the Christmas program. And you would go in there and they would give a little message or whatever. But the big thing was then you would stand up, get in line, and go to the table and pick a gift. So Dad was always looking out for opportunities like that. But but Mom was the one who kind of brought this spiritual significance to us and spoke to us about that during Christmas. Yeah.
So, inner city, row home, digging for gifts, in Cheltenham Township.
Yep.
All right. So let me talk to you about Christmas in Grand Junction, Colorado.
All right. Yeah, let's hear this. Cue the music, John. I have a feeling this story should have some Christmas music behind it.
No, man, I grew up in the Wild West.
Yeah.
All right. We had some crazy Christmases. Right?
Okay. All right.
My dad was a pastor. He didn't make a lot of money, but my mom she would start Christmas shopping 6 months before Christmas. She'd see something on sale.
Yeah.
She'd pick it up. She'd store it. Because she always wanted. So we always had gifts.
Okay.
Every year we always had gifts. Because you're right, as your kids get older, your bills go up. I'm noticing that with my own kids.
Sure.
Mostly with food and clothes. Everything gets more expensive. And but my mom was always really good at shopping and really good at finding those deals. And back when Black Friday was, you could actually find deals if you got up early and went shopping. She would hit that up. But by Christmas, by the time Christmas came around, she kind of had a lot of her gifts purchased and everything. And so for us it was we lived in a church parsonage. It was a house that the church owned, and it was not all that different from you. There were 6 of us in my family and 2 parents, so there were 8 in our family. And 3-bedroom house. It was 3 girls, 3 boys. So the 3 boys were in 1 bedroom, 3 girls in 1 bedroom, mom and dad in a basement bedroom. And not a big place, but it was what we knew, and it was fine. So we were able to wake up in the morning and pull out whatever was in our stocking. I remember one year I got a pocket knife.
Nice.
Pocket knife in the stocking. That was awesome. But we always had my mom and dad, and then my grandparents lived in the same town in Grand Junction, Colorado. So we'd go over and do gifts with them, and it was just a big family day for us. And it was that way every single year. It didn't change from the time I was a little kid to the time I left for college and got married and moved out. It was exactly the same every single year, and that's what we did. And again, everyone, I was really blessed because everyone in my family, Christians, my grandparents, had some aunt and uncles, and I think I even mentioned it last week in the podcast, just my grandfather kind of leading one year, just let's talk about the real meaning before we dive into gifts and things like that. So I have a lot of great memories of just family stuff growing up. And again, the gifts were never really extravagant, but my parents always found a way to get us something. I remember one year, the worst year, gift-wise. I was maybe 8th to 9th grade, and I got an electric razor.
Oh.
For Christmas.
Do you know where that is now? Probably not.
Well, obviously I don't use electric razor much.
Okay, all right.
But that was like the gift. They're like, now you can shave, Doug. I'm like,
yeah.
Yay!
Yeah.
Great, Mom. That's
Yeah.
awesome. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
And one year, my dad got my mom like drinking glasses, like a box of like
Drinking glasses.
just like glasses that you drink out of.
Oh, okay. All right.
Not like
my mind went to little shot
Yeah,
glasses.
no.
We
were Baptists growing up. We did. Yeah,
Okay,
no,
all right,
little
okay.
shot glasses.
Regular like
a
for
glass
Kool-Aid
drinking
and iced tea. Okay,
well, Kool-Aid if you drink Kool-Aid.
Okay,
or,
I got you.
Or
that would have been Kool-Aid in my house.
I understand.
Y'all probably had Lipton iced tea. We had Kool-Aid.
Well,
all right?
we brewed our own iced tea.
Well, actually, then
probably,
things got really bad, and then we have Flavor Aid.
Yeah.
Remember Flavor Aid? It was Kool-Aid's competition.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, 20 packs for $1. Man, I miss those days. But anyway.
So yeah, my dad he's like, yeah, and my mom was not impressed with the
drinking glasses.
drinking glasses. Let's just say, yeah. Then we started saving up our money. We started buying gifts for our parents. Those first couple of years, the perfume we got my mom was
okay.
It was nice,
okay.
Kmart brand.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Green metals or something like that.
Yeah.
Right.
So anyway, I have great memories of growing up with just the family. Really, it was just a big family day for us, and so this year, we have our traditions we do with our family, and going to continue those. Have your traditions changed any as your kids have gotten older, or?
Well, yeah. I mean, it's interesting because I look at the age of my kids now, and obviously they're experiencing Christmases different than what we experience.
Yeah, and your two oldest are getting ready to move out on their own, right?
Yeah. So we didn't really establish a whole lot of Christmas traditions. That's something I wish we would have done more of growing up. I mean, we had stuff like, okay, well, you can't drink any eggnog until the tree is decorated, stuff like that.
You guys drink eggnog?
Yeah, man, eggnog is good.
That's
Yeah.
Just the eggnog, or
just eggnog.
I'm just asking.
That's a whole nother podcast, all right? But we didn't really establish a lot of different traditions.
Do you think that's because growing up you maybe just didn't?
Yep. I don't think I had something to look back and say, oh, we're going to do this.
Yeah.
Obviously the gift giving, our kids are at the age now, it's kind of neat where they're giving gifts to one another, like using their own money. Mm-hmm. And it's like, wow, that's awesome, right? So for us, it's just kind of being together. Yeah. And like I said, there's not a lot of different things that we do tradition-wise. Yeah. So anyway.
Which is fine. It's not like you're a bad dad for not having Christmas traditions.
Yeah, thank you. Because, Jesus is the reason for the season.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
He's the only tradition we need.
I mean, anyway.
He must increase, right?
Studio 330, baby. That's it. Got a couple questions that we want to ask in relation to. So we asked a few questions about Christmas trees and stuff last week. Yeah. And so here's one. What is Kwanzaa, and should a Christian celebrate Kwanzaa?
Oh, wow. What is Kwanzaa? Okay. Well, Kwanzaa was started, I think it was like back in 1966, 67, somewhere around that. I can't pronounce the professor's name, but he felt that, and I would agree with this part, he felt that Christmas was way too commercialized. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of us would probably agree with that. And so he started Kwanzaa for the African American community, saying we have to get rid of this commercialization and talk about what really matters. So I appreciate the spirit in which he was doing it. Kwanzaa celebrates like 7 principles. Usually starts December 31st, I believe. And there's 7 principles, like things that most of them we would agree with, like unity, creativity, integrity. And each day there's a celebration of that particular principle. Now
what day does Kwanzaa, do they start celebrating?
I believe it's the 31st.
Okay.
Yeah.
Into the new year then.
And yeah,
Okay.
I don't quote me on that. I'm not a Kwanzaa expert, but the idea was to let's get away from this commercialization, and it's about people. It's about unity, peace, integrity, and I forget all the 7 principles. Now there is one principle that they do, which I would not agree with. Obviously, they have what's called the cup, and the cup usually has libations in it, and they pour it out to the ancestors.
Oh, okay.
Kind of like in worship and memory of them.
Okay.
But yeah, so it's definitely a holiday, kind of a spinoff from Christmas that was used to kind of push back at the commercialization of Christmas and focus on the relationships of people and things that really matter. So fairly new holiday. I mean, 66, 67, somewhere around there where it got started. We don't celebrate it, as our family has never celebrated it. So
growing up, it wasn't something you guys paid any attention to?
No, we didn't. No, we would watch sometimes on television. They would have Kwanzaa celebrations. Different choirs would come together and celebrate Kwanzaa.
On that note, just out of curiosity, how big is the Kwanzaa celebration in the African American community?
Yeah, that's a great question. I'll be honest. Growing up in the inner city, I didn't know any fellow African Americans that celebrated Kwanzaa. Everybody celebrated Christmas.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, so I don't know of any families that celebrated Kwanzaa. So I really don't know how big of a holiday it is, even among the African community, African American community. I don't know. That's a great question, but I had no friends that celebrated it.
Now,
so was the question should we? Did somebody say
should I mean, what is it, and should we celebrate it?
Yeah, and again, I think
mean,
like any of these holidays, right? Yeah. I mean, nowhere are we commanded to celebrate Christmas in Scripture, right?
Okay, so let me move on. Yeah, right, because Christmas was not a holiday officially in the Bible. I mean, the story of Jesus' birth, and and it is interesting. In all my studies of church history, obviously. You see Martin Luther and in the 1500s, the reformers, and you see Christmas celebrations then. Mm-hmm. But at what point did the Christian church set aside time to celebrate Advent?
Right.
And I don't actually know the answer to that, so maybe something I need to look into and to see kind of the origins of the Christian church celebrating Advent became Christmas. But let's talk Hanukkah for a second.
Okay.
All right. Is that something Christians should celebrate, and what is it? And some people even do Christmas, what they call Christmas cut, where they combine Hanukkah with Christmas.
Yeah.
So what's going on there?
Well, again, I'm not a
Hanukkah expert.
Not a Hanukkah expert at all. It's funny because my guess would be Hanukkah is a lot older than Kwanzaa, but there's some similarities with one day dealing with a principle, right, and the lighting of the candles, the menorah, and then there's a whole Hanukkah festivity, candles, and a lot of the similarities there. But when you look at Hanukkah being celebrated, talking about the Jewish people and the things that they've gone through, right, and remembering how Jehovah worked through Israel, right? As a Christian, I think there's some rich connections there, right? So, again, do we celebrate Hanukkah? No, we don't. Is it wrong if somebody wants to look at Hanukkah and take those aspects that we agree with as New Testament believers in light of remembering these different things? Example would be like the Passover. How many of us celebrate the Passover or have a Seder meal? I don't think there's anything wrong with a Christian celebrating the Seder with a Jewish family. I mean, it's all these pictures and types of ultimately Christ and what he would do for us. So I don't think there's anything wrong with doing that at all. Now, again, I don't know all the aspects of Hanukkah, like with Kwanzaa, the whole thing with libations and pouring them out to the spirits. And my guess would be Hanukkah doesn't have something like that. But anyway, so no. I don't think it would be wrong if somebody wanted to celebrate that.
the tension and the struggle comes within relation to Judaism, right?
Mm-hmm.
And is Hanukkah a religious holiday, right? And its origins really kind of go back to, I think, about 165 BC when they
ran out of oil.
Well, they rededicated the second temple of Jerusalem by lighting candles.
Right.
All right, and so when we talk about the second temple era, so the first temple was Solomon's temple, and then they rebuilt the temple after the exile of the people. They rebuilt the temple near the first century and rededicated the temple, which became one of the wonders of the world at that point.
Mm-hmm.
It was unbelievable, the size and the scope and the gold and everything in what's called Herod's temple, or the second temple. And so there was this rededication of the second temple, and Hanukkah is also called the Feast of Dedication, or the Feast of Lights, or even the Feast of the Maccabees. So if you know anything about near first century kind of Jewish history, there was a lot going on with Rome and with the Maccabees and the revolts that went on there, but then the building of this temple and the rededication of this temple, and so the struggle with Hanukkah comes in to is this a celebration of Judaism, which we have to be careful that because Orthodox Jews reject Jesus as their Messiah.
Right. Yep.
Right?
Yep.
And so we look at that and say, no, Christ was the Messiah of the Old Covenant.
Mm-hmm.
And so Hanukkah becomes kind of this thing where I think, to your point, if it's this, well, let me say this: what happened in 70 AD to the
Temple was destroyed.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, Jesus said, not one stone will be left standing upon another. And that temple has not been rebuilt.
Right.
But what does the New Testament say is the temple of the living God?
The church.
You are the temple of the living God, right? And so we're not looking right now. Now, again, this gets into eschatology a little bit, which isn't the goal, but we're not in this age right now looking for a rebuilt temple, because Jesus says, my presence doesn't dwell in a temple made with hands. My presence dwelled. This is why the veil of the temple being torn in two when Jesus died is so important. This is God saying that his presence no longer dwells in this Holy of Holies, in the temple.
Dwells in you now.
Dwells in you.
Your bodies are the temple.
Yeah, under this new covenant. And so this remembrance of what God did in the Old Covenant and what God did in the temple, and this idea that this temple was the dwelling place of God, as a remembrance of that, is fine. But we only look back in remembrance, but we celebrate the true temple today, which is Christ.
Yep. Absolutely.
And Christ in us.
Right.
And so the temple was always as Hebrews says, a shadow, a type of the true presence of God revealed to us in Emmanuel, God with us, the person of Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
So for us to say that Christ was the true temple is pretty important to understand. And so this is why we as Protestant Christians don't necessarily celebrate Hanukkah in lighting Hanukkah candles and things like that. We celebrate Christmas because Christ was the fulfillment of all that the Old Covenant promised. So Judaism, even today, says Christ was not the fulfillment of
We're
that.
still waiting
They're
for
still
this
waiting
Messiah.
for the Messiah
Right.
to come and
Right.
rebuild their temple
Right.
and sit on the throne of David once again.
Yep.
And so...
And the whole Christmas story reflects that was Christ, right? With Matthew 1 and the whole genealogy showing that he came through the seed of David, and Christ is royalty. Right?
And again, I'm not a expert on Hanukkah either myself, as far as the intricate celebrations and what each thing means, but I would push people to celebrate Advent.
Yeah.
As a Christian, I would encourage to celebrate Advent, the birth of Christ, the fulfillment of what the temple pointed to, the fulfillment of what all of Judaism pointed to, what all the Old Covenant pointed to Christ.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, if we celebrate the temple, we're celebrating the shadow of the reality.
Right.
right?
Right.
The temple
right.
was the type, the shadow of what was to come in the person of Jesus. So I would push people to say, let's celebrate Christ.
Yeah.
Not this, what the temple represented,
Right.
which was what Hanukkah was, a celebration of
the temple.
And that was such a huge deal for Israel.
And this is where I say, like, again, I use Seder as the example, right? So Christians typically don't celebrate a Seder meal, right? The Passover. We understand the Passover lamb is Christ. But man, there's some rich reminding, if you will, to sit in a Seder meal and hear all of the elements and what they represent as we understand the full story now.
That's right, yeah.
Right? And so I would say I agree with you. And looking at Hanukkah, I personally would not celebrate Hanukkah, but I'm saying if a Christian, they have, sometimes there's marriages where there's relatives who are Jewish and
they come over to their house around
they're
this
coming
time of
over
year,
and
light the candle.
And they're lighting the candle. I don't think there's anything wrong with that because you understand the full picture. And even as they're celebrating that temple and all that temple represented, for the believer, it's like, yeah, I hear you, like the Holy of Holies and all of that. And now through Christ, we are the temple, right? So it's not, it's being reminded, like you said, that was pointing to Jesus. Now, again, their celebration is going to stop at that, right? And maybe it's an opportunity as a believer to say, yeah, from my perspective as a believer, as a Christian, here's what all that temple means to me now.
Yeah.
In light of who Christ is.
And so on a practical level, and I'm glad you mentioned this, if you're invited to friends or families' home where there is a Jewish Hanukkah celebration, you would say, go.
I would say go. Oh,
Participate.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm in a home of somebody and it's, they celebrate Kwanzaa. We come in and say, oh, wow. Yeah. Okay. I didn't know you guys did this also. And it's like, mealtime, okay, we're going to light the candle of unity. And I'm like, oh, I believe in unity. Pass the collard greens. And right, it's this opportunity to take that conversation and kind of let your words be seasoned with grace and humility, but point that conversation to Christ. Okay. So
I'm going to get into a real controversial topic right now because this is black and white theology, and we do not stray from controversy.
No, we don't. Not at all.
We tackle it head on.
All right, here we go.
What should parents tell their children about Santa Claus?
No, he does not exist. He's a figment of somebody's imagination.
How do you really feel, Ron?
I'm not gonna work my butt off and buy all these gifts for my kids and make them think that some big jolly old man came down and gave them those. No, okay. So yeah, that's always
it is okay. That's true.
Okay. I think this is one of these areas where you have to back up and you have to say, all right, as a believer, okay, and my family, we did not teach about Santa Claus. That Santa brought.
You didn't lie to your kids and tell them that he exists.
I did not lie to my kids and say that. You just called a lot of people liars.
I know. I just
that
opened
was
up.
Doug.
I just opened up a big can of worms there, and we'll talk about that. I don't
lie to my kid.
We'll talk about that.
So
don't get mad at me just yet.
Right. So no, no. We didn't. Obviously, from our perspective, it's like
that's the problem with doing these things live.
Well, no, you get to speak the truth, right? Right. Tying it back to Christ, tying it back to we celebrate because of Jesus Christ, and it's interesting because I'm trying to remember which one of my kids. I mean, we have 5; they're all older now. I'm trying to remember that moment. I can't remember there was ever a moment where they came to us and said, "Daddy, is Santa real?" Because obviously they're hearing it from friends.
So you didn't intentionally, like from the start, say, "Hey, listen, let me tell you about the Santa Claus thing now."
No, I didn't.
You just kind of avoided it.
Yeah, I didn't have the big S talk. There's 2 of them.
I understand.
I didn't have the Santa talk. You got that, John, right? That was good, John, right? Yeah, I just didn't. I think it was just, when it did come up, the clearest thing that I can remember is one of my kids saying, coming home one day, and I forget which one, they actually said, "Daddy, Santa Claus isn't real, is he?" something like that. And I was just like, no.
What was that this week, Ronald?
Wow. Yeah, my 19-year-old finally realized, so we weren't intentional in having that talk. I guess for us, we kind of addressed it when it came up.
Okay.
And it wasn't traumatic. They didn't have to go into therapy and, all of that because there's no Santa Claus, right? Yeah. Now, I would say, and then I'm going to throw it back to you. Okay, so there are some Christians that are like, well, you would just do it for fun as part of the cultural thing or whatever. Right. And it's like, we're just having fun. It's like, obviously, we don't believe that. We're not going to let them believe that forever. They'll find out. I'm not doing anything wrong by doing, okay, well, I can't sit there and judge that Christian because if I'm going to be consistent, I would have to say this. If I'm going to say you should not even tell your 2, 3, or 4-year-old that Santa Claus is there, then I have to be consistent and say then you also should not be reading any fairy tale books to them. And when you're doing that goodnight story about Cinderella and all, and why did they do that to Cinderella? Do we look at our little 4-year-old and say, well, this isn't real, right? This didn't really happen. In their little minds, they believe that happened. And we go with it, don't we? So if you're going to be consistent, then you need to get rid of all of that too. So I'm gonna leave. So
this is a really fascinating discussion for me. I just because
you believe in Santa Claus.
Yeah. People land on different areas. I know. I think a majority of the people like to pretend that Santa's real with their kids and tell them that he's real, and it's this fun thing they do, and it's harmless. It doesn't really, affect them. And fair enough, maybe that's true. We did have friends that about 4th grade the kid found out.
Okay.
Because he had an older brother who was in middle school.
Yep.
And he was devastated. He was devastated. He was devastated, and was like, "You've been lying to me this whole time."
Right.
So what seems innocent
Yep.
and fun in the early years eventually may catch up to you. And some kids may be like, Dad, Mom, I've known for years.
Yeah, exactly.
He isn't real, no big deal,
Depends
whatever.
on the kid, their temperament, their personality.
It does depend. And this particular kid was very, he believed.
Sensitive.
He was very trusting.
Yeah, sure. Yeah,
and
that could be an issue.
And it really bothered him that his parents lied to him for so many years.
Yep.
And maybe your kid was like, whatever, they don't care, fair enough. But so don't just dismiss the fact that eventually, at some point, you're going to have the explanation, or they're going to find out.
Absolutely.
And maybe they'll deal with it fine, but maybe they won't. And I've known kids that haven't dealt with it as well. And so there's that. Are you sinning, and are you, for doing this game of Santa Claus? I'm not going to go that far. If you do it, I'm not going to church.
Before you go,
discipline you.
Did we mark this video as not for children?
Yes, they're always marked as not for children. Yeah,
I know. That's
a great point.
We don't want kids at home watching this.
Yeah.
What?
Turn it off. Parents, turn it off if your kids are listening. No, actually, bring them. They need to hear this. Okay.
Oh man.
But it's fascinating for me because I've actually, from day one, been like, there's not a Santa Claus. All right. So whatever you're seeing on TV, whatever they're telling you, he doesn't exist.
Okay,
right?
you were intentional to make sure they knew.
Yeah, maybe.
Like what? How old were they?
Yeah,
2, 3?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, big.
All right.
Yeah, you're watching movies and stuff like that. You're like, that dude doesn't. He's just fake, right?
Yeah, okay. You can't just let them enjoy the movie. You got to let them know that's not real.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
One of those
I might have been a little more aggressive than the average parent on this.
You think?
But I started getting in trouble because my oldest would be like, he'd go to school and he'd be like, dude, that's not even real. What are you thinking? And the kid's like, what are you talking about? And they were like throwing fans over this, right?
Oh,
and so then all of a sudden I get a couple emails from parents.
Oh,
like, wow. Yeah, like your kid is like ruining Christmas for my kid.
Wow.
Type stuff. And I'm like, all right. Let me rein it in a little. I'm like, this is truth, right? And I'm not, I'm like, I worked hard. I bought these gifts. I don't think some creepy fat guy came, trespassing into our house and dropped off gifts when I did that. Like I did that, right?
Yeah. See, I see. Growing up in the inner city, I can't let my family know that growing up because somebody come in.
Yeah.
It ain't gonna go well for Santa. Santa ain't getting no cookies.
Right. And the whole, I saw mommy kissing Santa under the Christmas tree. I had someone come and say, hey, should I play that for my kids? I'm like, that Santa's like the dad dressed up as Santa. She's like, oh, I never thought about that before. I'm like, so I saw mommy kissing Santa Claus. Santa Claus is dad dressed
Better
up.
be dad dressed up like Santa Claus.
So it was Michael Jackson. Was that Jackson 5?
I saw mommy. Anyway.
Yeah. So that's what I've done. But I have told my kids, hey, listen, when you go to school, if kids believe in Santa, don't ruin it for them. Right. This is a thing. They got their elf on their shelf, this creepy little demon-possessed elf sitting doing weird things at night all over your house. If that's your thing, that's cool.
Right?
That's cool. Yeah, go with it, right?
Yeah.
It's fine. Like it's have fun with it. That's fine. With my family. John, what'd you do with your kids?
Yeah, I gotta hear this. I know where this is gonna go. John looks like Santa Claus.
You know where it goes? Where do you think I'm gonna go with this?
I don't know. Go ahead,
I don't know
John.
what John would have done here.
Well, we do the elf on the shelf,
Uh-huh.
but
The demon elf.
Demon elf.
Before you talk about that,
Okay.
no, we do it a different way. We don't.
He's carrying a Bible.
Yeah.
A King James Bible.
although I think we'll probably start seeing some memes about Wentz on the bench.
Oh wow,
Carson Wentz.
That's true.
I've seen some. I've seen some.
Yeah.
I know there's a mensch on the bench.
I've seen some Governor Wolf
That was on Shark Tank.
Grinch. Ones.
Oh, really?
Mensch,
Okay.
mensch on the bench. Yeah,
Mensch-
yeah.
okay.
It
All
really
right.
was.
All right.
Okay.
No, but we do the elf on the shelf.
So
but
elf on the shelf. Okay.
We don't do it as like it's the spy for Santa looking.
Yeah. Seeing if you're
just-
good or bad.
Yeah. We just hide it every night, and then we keep tallies for 25 days.
Okay.
And whoever found the elf the most.
Oh, it's a game that you
It's
play.
just a game.
It's not a way to manipulate your kids to moral behavior.
Nah,
Okay.
that's temporary.
I'm
So-
sorry.
so-
I'm cynical. I'm
no.
sorry. Don't get mad at me, okay? All right.
Wait. I gotta ask you, John. I gotta ask you because your kids are still pretty young.
Yeah.
Do your kids believe in Santa Claus?
No.
Okay. And have they ever believed in Santa Claus? And did you just kind of let it go until naturally they said, "Oh,
Yeah,
you know what? He's not real."
Yeah, I was sort of like Doug. Like, I didn't want them thinking that someone else bought I bought these.
See, that's where I'm at. Right.
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah.
like,
yeah.
I love you this much.
Yeah. That I bought this.
Not that you
With
have
my
to love
overtime.
others to not
No,
not that you
I got
get
you.
past
Okay.
it. But I didn't want.
So they
them
knew at an
thinking-
early age.
Yeah, we probably did the Santa thing, but like really not a big deal. Like,
Okay.
he's just kind of like this fairy tale symbol
Yep.
of Christmas time.
Okay.
We never did the go to the mall thing. We never.
Did the pictures with Santa? No pictures with Santa with your kids?
No,
Okay.
but they like to do the cookie thing.
And
for
leave
Santa,
cookies.
but
And you enjoy that, right? Because you
Yeah.
get up and you eat them.
But they kind of knew Dad was the one that enjoyed
Yeah,
those
okay.
cookies. Because they were like, ooh, maybe Dad asks Santa, like, what kind of cookies you want. I mean, he wants. you
Yeah.
know, so they always kind of played into that.
Okay.
I will say, all right, setting my
Yeah, because you sound like a Grinch right now for a lot of people watching.
Okay, so let me set that aside a little bit. My cynicism toward the whole Santa thing. All right. When your kids are little and it's fun and things like that, then yeah, you go for it.
You're not going to correct. You shouldn't correct your son if he's 2-year-old saying, "Mommy, do you think that's Santa right there?" I mean, you shouldn't say Santa doesn't exist. Just let him go with it.
I mean, I would, but
You would, but
I mean,
you're
I
saying,
did. That's
but,
what I
but
did,
is it
but-
wrong if a Christian decides to just let it go and play along?
Yeah, I think it's. I would say it's pretty harmless, and again, ethically, are we violating? Do not lie and things like that. The lying that harms and hurts people and is intentionally, trying to undermine. Listen,
Does this dress make me look fat?
I lied to my daughter the other day. Right. So yeah, this is a whole.
See, now you breaking marriages up. Now you trying to break
when we
marriages
start
up.
talking about ethics, we can talk about the ethic of
we got to have a
truth-telling
podcast
right,
on ethics.
Right.
Yeah.
But so if I'm going to be consistent, right?
Okay.
Okay. So you
Yes.
talked about consistency about
Gotta
like
be
if I'm reading a
consistent.
fairy tale and they're like, why would they do that Cinderella? I'd basically say because this is a fake story. It doesn't even exist. It's not even
Right,
real.
right.
So I would say that to my
Okay.
2-year-old and
Okay.
and let
That's
you, let
consistent.
you do counseling with them later
Right.
when they're teenagers. But if I'm going to be consistent, then you can't lie to your kid about Santa Claus. Well, then you can't lie to your kid about
The Tooth Fairy.
well, or for instance, I lied to my daughter the other day with a gift that she thinks she's convinced I got her, which I did. So she's on Amazon. So I'm asking, what do you want? And she there's this tent, and this tent swings in your room, and it hangs and it swings.
And you're going to get that.
I already did.
You are just asking for trouble.
I already did.
You know what's going to happen, right, with that tent?
Well,
Daddy, look, wee!
Yeah. It'll be an emergency room.
You're
but
gonna
that's
be
part of growing up. So I got, but in order to
cover it up.
Well, no. In order to get it ready, like on Christmas Day, I don't want to be drilling holes in the ceiling, putting in bolts and stuff like that. So I wanted to have it ready so that Christmas Day I could just hang it up.
There it is.
Have fun. And so I put this lag bolt in her ceiling, and the beam in her ceiling, and put it there and hoped she wouldn't notice it. Well, she noticed. And she's like, Dad, is that for my tent swing?
Oh, wow. And you
I said, no, Santa's not bringing you a tent swing. No. I said, no. What makes you think I got you a tent swing? She's like, well, because we looked at it. I said, no, I told her some stupid story about.
You lied.
I lied to her.
You lied.
I said
clearly.
I said the plaster on your ceiling was coming down, and I had to drill a hole in there and put glue in it, and that bolt is holding your ceiling up right now.
Wow.
So it doesn't fall down on you when you sleep.
You know what, John? It was a bad lie.
That was a good lie. She bought it. Hook, line, and sinker.
I
7-year-old.
thought she would look right through that.
Well, she doesn't know what a bolt is hanging out of the ceiling.
Wow.
Dad
okay.
knows everything. Dad can fix anything.
Yeah.
And I said, you don't want your ceiling falling down on you and crushing you at night, do you? She's
my goodness.
That's
wow.
So that's got to be there for another week and a half.
And there was no conviction as you were telling this lie.
Well, I don't know. None whatsoever. Not any more than the parents telling their kids Santa Claus exists. So anyway.
All right. So you're saying that was okay what you did.
I'm just
and
saying,
it's okay if they don't say Santa Claus doesn't exist.
Fine. I think it's fine.
Okay.
That's not what I chose to do.
Right.
Because for my reasons. But if you're like, no, I love doing this with my kids, that's fine.
Yeah.
But I would just say be prepared that one day it's going to catch up to you.
How about all the Christian families that take their kids to Disney World and the 4 and 5-year-olds really think that's Belle? How many of them say, that's not Belle, that's an actress? No, I'm just saying, we don't do that, right?
You're opening up an issue for me that if I get going on, we're gonna lose more viewers.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, I'm not a.
But I guess the reason I'm bringing it up.
My version of hell is Disney World.
Oh wow! Oh my goodness!
And
this is
I'll
a
just leave
sore
it.
spot. Have you been to Disney World?
No, there's a reason.
Yeah. Oh, okay, all right.
Like.
All right, yeah,
bunch
we
of
can
whiny
move on.
kids, 99 degrees, 100% humidity, standing in lines. Yeah, that sounds. Let me spend my vacation standing in
for 3 hours.
In 3 hours with whiny children
for a 30-second
Yeah, no,
ride,
thank
right?
you. No,
Yeah.
Anyway,
Okay.
That's all I'll say about that.
I'm with you on that one.
Yeah, me too. No, I only got to go because
I'm out on Disney World.
the seniors went one year and I got the chaperone. We went to not Disney World, Disneyland.
Can you imagine spending your entire vacation standing in line?
I can't.
In
I
the
would
heat
never
and
do
humidity
that.
with whiny kids?
Nope, wouldn't do it.
I can't even imagine.
No.
But
it was cute though, because back then my one daughter.
We're gonna get so many.
My one daughter was like 5 years old and she loved Minnie Mouse.
Yeah.
I mean, absolutely loved Minnie Mouse. And so when they bring these characters out, they have 2 people walking with them to keep the crowds away.
Mm-hmm.
So Minnie Mouse was there taking pictures, and I was like, whoa, I got to get a picture of Minnie Mouse for my daughter. So I go running, and of course, the line closed. And I was like, no, you don't understand. I got to get a picture of Minnie Mouse. Yeah, everybody got to get a picture of Minnie Mouse. And so what did I do? I just followed behind them, and I was like, Minnie Mouse! When she turned around, I was like, click, yes, I got one for my daughter. So, anyway, but. Okay, so no Santa Claus, no Minnie Mouse.
Yeah.
I guess you don't think Goofy exists either. Okay. All right, no problem.
I just whatever the guy in the suit is. That's as much as he
That's
exists.
it. Okay.
Anyway, all right. I was going to get into some deep theological conversations with you today. Our time's about up, isn't it, John? I think we're over time.
Yeah.
I was going to get into the prophecies of Messiah. And
wow, and you
what
chose
that
Santa
meant.
Claus. Whether we should.
I didn't know the Santa Claus one would take us down that path that it took us down.
That was a sore spot for you, man.
Well,
I gave a very succinct answer. I was ready to go on, and then you went into elves.
Well, you asked me. You said what
demon-possessed elves, and I'm like, what? What are you talking about? Oh my goodness!
Hey, whatever your Christmas traditions are,
yeah,
have a Merry Christmas.
Have a Merry Christmas.
Enjoy those traditions. Fat jolly guy coming down a chimney, elf on a shelf. Whatever you do. If you go to Disney World this Christmas, hey, enjoy it. and worship Christ and bring Christ through all of it. That would be my admonition.
Absolutely.
Make sure Christ is supreme. He's exalted. He's seen. He's savored. He's loved. He's worshipped in the midst of all of these traditions that we do, whether they include lies or not, to our kids.
Don't lie to your kids.
Have a Merry Christmas. We'll see you guys in a couple weeks.